Yo. Once again, it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kids TV. In the motherfucking house like kitchen sinks. You heard me? You know, a lot of people were saying, not a lot of people, but a few people were saying, Real Kins, I think that you should say in the house like kitchen sinks opposed to saying in the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. And I did that for a while. But you know what? I can't allow you all to dictate my channel. I take suggestions. I take, when people say certain things to me, I really take it to heart and I listen. But there's a difference between being in the house like kitchen sinks and being in the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. So from now on, we in this motherfucker like motherfucking kitchen sinks. I'm sitting back reflecting. I'm thinking about some things that have gone on in my past. And I'm thinking about this one officer. Actually, he's not an officer. He's not an officer. He's a warden. He's not the head warden, but like in penitentiary, you may have like the head warden, then an assistant warden, then an assistant to the assistant warden. This some bitch was the assistant to the assistant warden. Now, before I get into this afternoon's video, if you will, understand that I'm the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, meaning that any story, any video that I bring you is guaranteed to be at least 30 minutes or better. So if you're on your way to work, you're at work, you don't feel like being there, you're frustrated, you're mad, you're upset, you're on your way home from work, because obviously you're happy when you're on your way home from work, you're trying to lay down and take a nap, you're trying to go to sleep at night, depending on whatever time you view or listen to this video. Or you're just in the mood for a good old-fashioned true penitentiary, keyword being true, story, / life story, / life experience, however you want to phrase it. This is the channel for you. So if you're into the 10, 12, 15 minutes videos, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But at Real Kids TV, you're guaranteed to get 30 minutes or better and take it how you want to take it, ladies. I'm thinking about my mind I've done 11 years in the Kentucky State Department Corrections. Hold on, let's rewind that. I've served over 11 years, calendars, 365 days in the Kentucky Department of Corrections. I have a whole lot of experiences, a whole lot of stories, a whole lot of situations, unique things that I've seen. Come on, Kens. We want to hear more stories about you. There's only so many truthful stories I can tell that you all want me to get on here and lie. Like some other YouTubers, not all prison content YouTubers, but some. You want me to get on here and make up stories? You tell a lie, I tell a lie. I guess as long as people are entertained, that's all that matters. But that's not what I do. I don't make up stories. I don't steal stories. So if you hear me tell a story about Chicken Day in the penitentiary, oh, man, you stole this from Banky Pound. Why would I steal this from... I don't watch Banky Pound. Shout out and much love and salute to Banky Pound. I've watched a few of his videos, but I don't have time. I'm busy working and doing my own thing. Why would I steal an individual story, even though I know that people do those things? Now, come on, kids. I seen Banky tell a video, and he said the same thing about... I don't even remember what this was about. It's prison. You can't reinvent the wheel. It's only so many stories. It's only so many events, occurrences, situations, violent acts. It's only so much that you can see. So, yeah, he did 30-something years. I did 11. I believe he did his straight. Mine was, 3 here, 3.5 there, 2. But at the same time, penitentiary is the penitentiary. So I don't steal anybody's stories. None. Never have, never will. I tell about my situations that I've seen, that I've gone through, or that I've heard of from a very, very reliable individual that was a part of it. Now, being that I'm Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, I don't have to get straight to my stories. Some people jump on here and they go straight to the story, and again, that's cool. Some days I do, some days I don't. Respectfully. I'm going to drink my water, and y'all tell me where you all are chiming in from. Me, myself, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Just got off work. Was thinking about you all day long. All my friends at YouTube, I was thinking about you deeply. But pause, though, as far as when it goes to the males, pause. I was thinking about you, but just not in that manner. It's hot. My air done went out. My air conditioner went out yesterday. It's not blowing out anything. It's not even the air. It's just not blowing out anything as far as the vent. So I'm parked in the shade, and I got my ice waters. I typically do, but the show must go on. I'm definitely going to get it fixed. Don't get it twisted. I'm going to get it fixed. I just didn't realize that I really forgot all about it. Shout out to my truck drivers, too. All the truck drivers. Not my truck drivers. All the truck drivers, man. You know how when you get on Amazon, you get on eBay, and you get on all the ordering sites, and you want it, but you want it the next day or 2 days later. If it's not for them truck drivers, guess what? You're not going to get it. To the medical supply drivers, you ordering your medication, you ordering this and that as far as medical supplies. If it's not for those drivers, you're not going to get it as far as the next day or the next 2 days. Shout out to everybody pulling them 12-hour shifts, 16, 24-hour shifts. And you got your iPods in your ear, or and you listening to Real Kens TV, and you say Real Kens. I say Real Kens. You really, really help us get through, our shifts. Much love, salute to you. Nothing but love to you. Now, with all that being said, I understand that it was a long monologue. I understand that it was a long soliloquy. I understand that it was longer than normal. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap it up into one big old nutshell. Pause, double pause. There is a message. Penitentiary, 2003. Never will forget it. Ice storm. Oh, man, we had a horrific ice storm in Lexington, Kentucky, 2003. And it was right around, if my memory serves me correctly, February of 2003. It was terrible. People went without power for months. Well, actually weeks. Maybe a month, but definitely for weeks. It was snow. It was ice. It was terrible. It was so much hail and snow, and all the power lines were down, and we couldn't even go on the yard. I'm in penitentiary at this time, 2003, as I mentioned, February. Let me know where you're chiming in from, man. Sorry for the crunching of the ice, but I love ice. I love ice water. That's all I predominantly drink is ice water. The storm comes. The penitentiary yard that I'm on, you have, let me see if I can remember correctly. 1, 2, 3, you got 5 dorms. It's approximately 850 people on the yard. Not a huge penitentiary. It's a low-level penitentiary as well. Let me make sure that I'm clear and precise about that. It's a low-level penitentiary. I've been to higher-level penitentiaries, but in 2003, at this particular time, I was about a year from, parole. I started at a higher level, but I worked my way down, and I'm at a low-level penitentiary. The storm was so horrific that you got 2 dorms. You got C1 and C2. Now, C1 and C2 were like, because you have to understand, if you've never been to prison, a prison yard, especially a camp, or especially like a non-violent prison yard, or a low level, I'm not going to say non-violent, but low level, the way that this prison yard was structured, these 2 dorms were afar, to say the least, from every other dorm. So if you were in C1, C2, they were kind of like right beside each other. It was like they were secluded. They didn't have to go and mingle and indulge as far as all the other dorms, because you got A dorm, you got I think it was B dorm, and then you got C dorm. But then these two dorms that I'm speaking of, and I'm trying to paint a picture, so hopefully you all follow me, and it's not my attempt to lose any of you all. So you got C1 and C2. They got their own basketball goals, their own rec yards, horseshoe pits. They throw the washers, if you are familiar with washers. Their own recreational. They don't really have to go to the other part of the yard unless they have to go to medical. Obviously the chow hall, but some people don't even go to the chow hall because they penitentiary rich and they eat out of their locker, but they do have to go to commissary. When I say eat out of your locker, means your people are sending you can spend $125 a week. If your money's really long like that, you take an individual that sleeps beside you or close to you. Hey, look, bro, that doesn't get any money. My people gonna send you this $125 every single week. I'm a, $25, $30 on the commissary list. You make yourself out a list for yourself. I'm gonna give you this. You go to the store for me. Plus, when I eat, you pretty much eat. Not every time, but a lot of times when I eat a big meal, whatever, you eat. That's how a lot of the ballers do it in penitentiary. See, in prison doesn't stop a show. If you know that you're going to prison, and I'm going to just keep it all the way real. Some people's not going to like this, but it's not like the people don't know already. You getting your money in the streets. You making $3,000-$4,000 a week profit. Probably way more than that, but I'm going to just say $3,000-$4,000 a week. You're on house arrest. Or you just out on bond. Ultimately you're going in. You give your girl the phone. You tell your people that you're going to deal with. Your 6, 7, 8 people that you're dealing with. 9, 10 people, whatever it is. Whenever you need what you need, still continue to hit this number, but it's going to be my girl instead of me. You tell your supply, whoever getting it from, hey, bro, I'm saying, it's going to be my girl, whatever, boom, boom, boom. So the operation doesn't stop. Again, this is not anything new. So that same $3,000-$4,000 a week that you was making prior to going in, you done stacked X amount of dollars because you're going to prison. You got $50,000-$60,000 stacked. You with a woman, she got your kids. You know that she's thorough. So you gonna take some money in with you. Hey, baby, every day put $30-$40 on the phone, $50 on the phone, because phone calls would be like $2 a call. Put $50 a day on the phone, and then every single week send me $200. And then once a month send me $1,000, just in case I want to give me some CDs or just things of that nature, because they always find ways for you to spend your money in the penitentiary. The money continues to build. It continues to stack. You got individuals that sit on the phone literally all day long because they have the money to do so. Oftentimes, it's just how prison works, man. You got people that don't have anything, and then you got the people that's really, really getting it, man. These dudes is getting it. Yeah, you in prison, but you living the best that you could possibly live in prison. Well, all of that kind of not necessarily ceases, but when you we had an ice storm, 2003, everything is cut off. Everything. The power goes out. So when the power goes out, obviously there's no visits. We can't go out on the yard. The National Guard comes in when we want to eat, or not when we want to eat. When it's time to go to the chow hall, they have to bring us lunches in styrofoam, boxes or what have you. We have absolutely no power. They did end up turning the backup generators on, but we couldn't plug our TVs up, CD players, microwaves, anything like that. Now, obviously, people were still sneaking and doing those things, but it was kind of difficult because the way that the prison was structured, everything was glass. You can see through every single cell. Commissary wasn't open. So everything was pretty much shut down. The gym, you couldn't get a haircut. Obviously, no visits, nothing. You got wires everywhere on the yard. Now, mind you that prisoners run the yard in prison. That's why I don't understand why a lot of the things that occur go on in prison. I do understand because you got bootlickers. Prisoners run the yard. If the prisoners say, hey, we're not going to work the kitchen today, you still got to feed 1,000 people on the yard, sometimes 2,000, 3,000. Bigger prisons. But guess what? They got to hire some people. They got to get the COs that's not in there to run the kitchen. They have to get whoever they can possibly get to come in and make sure that everybody's fed. The prisoners say, you know what, we're not going to laundry today. They got to bring in people to run laundry. They got to give you your clothes. It's the way that a prison works. Commissary, anything, a lot of the things that make the prison operate on a day-to-day basis is because of inmates that they pay $25, $26 a month to. Now, you may be on a special assignment. You may have a special job to where you running a backhoe, or you're an electrician, or you're because there's only so many people that can do these things. Well, if I know how to run a backhoe, I'm an electrician, or I'm a plumber, or I can go in and do HVAC, you'd rather pay me $300 a month, while all the other inmates is making $25, $30 a month, opposed to bringing somebody in that's going to charge you $50 an hour. You see what I'm saying? So they would keep certain inmates, and if you had this skill, you couldn't transfer anywhere, which 9 times out of 10, most people don't want to anyway. They called you a special needs. We have to have you on this yard. We need to have you to operate this special machinery or equipment or skill, if you will, so that this prison can function and operate. So they'll pay him $300 a month. And in prison, that's a lot. $300-$400 a month. That's a lot in prison. But in the major scheme of things, that's nothing. Should be way more than that. Then talk to you crazy as though they're doing you a favor. Ice Storm was bad. You got dorm C1 and C2, as I previously mentioned. Those buildings should have been condemned anyway. They were older dorms. Should have been knocked down. They make so much money in prison off the backs of inmates. They should have just knocked the dorms down, had the inmates rebuild the dorms. Yeah, you're going to have to bring in some people that make sure that it's built up to code or what have you, but they're going to do it for a very, very cheap price. Locking people up is a business. I'm going to continue to say it. It's a business, man. It's money involved locking people up. This weirdo tells me in my comments, it doesn't matter if you get overcharged, Kens. You shouldn't have never broken the law. No, I disagree. No, you shouldn't have broken the law. Why you on here condoning breaking the law? No. But let's talk about breaking the law. If you want a red light, is that breaking the law? Are you weirdos that keep running these red lights when the light is clearly red? Clearly red, you just, as though you're not in a busy intersection. Is that technically breaking the law? Yeah, Kens, but that's not breaking the law like selling drugs. No, but it could be worse, because you run that red light to where it was clearly red, and then another car is pulling out and you hit them. It could be potentially murder, assault. So is that breaking the law? Is that dangerous? So you got this weirdo, and I'm reading the comments, because he made a few comments, like 3 or 4 comments. And I guess he felt as though he was putting me in my place. And I'm going to listen. I'm a humble guy. I'm going to listen. But he just wasn't making sense, man. I was speaking about the P. Diddy situation. So it was like, well, P. Diddy got charged, so he gets what he gets. Okay, so if you run a red light and you didn't mean to run a red light, or you did run the red light, you intentionally ran the red light, and a police officer pulls you over, that's a crime, right? Well, most of the time when you run a red light, it's just fine, ticket, whatever. No, but you get what you deserve. You get what you get. So All of the other things that you've done in your life and you never been arrested for and never been charged with, well, you run this red light, you potentially could have killed somebody. So we're going to give you 5 years in prison. Now, hold on now. Don't change it now. Don't change it now. You said that you get what you get because you broke the law. So don't complain about being overcharged. And this whole Diddy situation, P. Diddy situation is a prime example of how they overcharge you. Was he a jerk? Yeah. Did he beat women? Yes, which I don't condone. Did he do a lot of things he wasn't supposed to do? Yeah. But sex trafficking, the RICO Act? Come on, man. Like, we don't want to keep it real. I'm going to say it. Come on, man. It's ridiculous, man. Does P. Diddy deserve to sit down for a little bit? Yeah. 2-3 years, he probably needs to, man. Mellow out. Understand that you're not above the law. You're not the person that you think that you are, this huge figure. But a life sentence? 20, 30 years, you already 55? No, come on, man. Do y'all not understand what a money grab is? Some people watch my channel that really have money. You can't tell me you haven't done anything that's, a little bit, okay, sketchy, if you will. But does that mean that you deserve to go to prison, federal prison for 20 years? Because you got with a woman at your job, a couple women at your job over the years, knowing that you married with kids at home, but you done got with this woman and she done just made up something and, oh, he forced me and he was the boss, so I just felt as though I had to do it because if I didn't do it, then, I was intimidated and he threatened me and I would lose my job. And do you deserve 20 years in prison for that? People do that all the time. Is it right? Absolutely not. But do you deserve 15, 10, 5, 10 years, 30 years in prison for that? Y'all let me know. And you can't be biased. Be real about the situation. So I say all of these things. See, sometimes I jump off into different subjects, but essentially it's all the same subject because it's called loop, and I just loop everything to bring it all the way back. Locked up. We frustrated. C1, C2, they done moved them into our dorm because A1 was a dorm that I was in, and it was like a new dorm that the inmates had just built. So they had like maybe 2 rooms that was extra. They were the TV rooms. So you could put people in one TV room, because you got one TV room that's for movies, then you got another TV room for sports. And it's a, nice size room or what have you. And then they were putting people in the dorms just as well. Now, everybody didn't come to A1, dorm A1. Some people went to B dorm, but they didn't have a lot of space. And then some people went to regular, C dorm. But the majority of them were in our dorm. It's miserable. I've already told you all everything that was, the lack of activities and privileges, if you will. They were gone. Sitting in the dorm all day long. They bring us our food. It's already 50 people in the dorm prior to these other individuals coming to the dorm. It's another 25, 30, 40 people that they've placed in the dorm. I say 25, 30 people. And they just kept us in the dorms all day long. We couldn't go to the TV room. We couldn't do anything for the simple fact the TV room had people that had brought them sleep. They didn't even bring them sleeping bags. They had blankets, sleeping on like hard, not steel floor, but tile flooring. It's hard to get in the shower. The food was coming so late. The food was garbage. Only thing we were getting was pretty much bologna sandwiches, potato salad, a cookie, and some coleslaw. You might get a bag of chips every blue moon. So it's stressful. Can't watch TV. Can't listen to your CD player because the battery, you might listen to it for about an hour or 30 minutes and you got to cut it off because once your battery runs down, you can't plug it up. Tension is running high. Tension is running very, very high. You can get on the phone. I believe the phones were working, but then again, I don't think those phones will work. And it's a long time ago, 2003. It's 2024 at this point. But I don't believe the phones will work. And now that I really, really recollect and think about it. But, you know, people are going to make the best of what they can make the best of. So you have games, but you have to check them out from the office. From the guards tower. The guards tower was like right there in the middle of the dorm. So you got A dorm, B dorm, C dorm, D dorm, and I believe E dorm. 50 people in each dorm. And then you got the 2 extra rooms, the TV rooms, where you have 40, 50 people in, 50, 60 people in, all on the floor, scattered out. So when you go to the guards tower's in the middle. Everything's glass. They can see you, you can see them. Guards tower, you know, you gotta buzz the door. You can't just walk in. There's a door. They buzz the CO, buzz the door for you to come in. You're not technically supposed to walk inside, but you know, they'll allow you to walk inside because they lazy and they don't want to come outside to meet you. So they'll buzz the door and you, yeah, what's going on? How can I help you? You had this one individual, and I don't know why they had him in our dorm, but for whatever reason, they had him in our dorm. He was a warden. He was an assistant warden, essentially to the assistant warden. And I want to say his name so bad because a lot of people from here, from Kentucky, that's been in the prison system, they watch my channel. Some people know the people that I'm referring to because I don't always use fictitious names. But there are times where it's necessary. So I'm going to just call this weirdo. He's a, like I said, the assistant warden to the assistant warden. I'm going to call him Warden Weirdo, for lack of better terms. This dude was a jerk, man. He had been working for the Department of Corrections for like 30 years, man. This dude looked like Dr. Phil. And I'm not even being facetious. I'm not even being funny. This dude literally looked like Dr. Phil. Same bald head. Same thick ass push broom mustache. Same demeanor. Well, you know, and if you think that you can, you know, he talked the same. Looked like he could have been a twin, or definitely a brother of Dr. Phil. About 5'11". Wasn't that tall, about 5'11". You know, allegedly, roughly, if you will. This dude was known for when you went to the, like, he would do court call. Court call is when you catch a write-up and you don't want to plead guilty, or sometimes they don't offer you to plead guilty. You have a hearing. Well, when you go before the board, the hearing, he was over court call. Especially when the warden was gone, like the days that the warden was gone and he was like number one in command, because like if the warden had to go somewhere for a meeting, the assistant warden would go. So they would leave him in charge of the entire compound. The warden would come back, it's 30 people in the hole, man. Everybody that goes through court call, he could have just given them extra duty, which means you do 40 hours of cleaning up, working for the officers, what have you, and your charges go away. Or he could have just broken the write-ups down. No, everybody locked up, locked up, locked up. We already locked up, Kens. How is he locked up? Meaning put cuffs on you and take you to the hole. 25, 30, 40 people that's locked up when the warden comes back the next day or two. What is going on? He locking everybody up. This dude was a real jerk. He comes through one day, and actually before he comes through, an individual, Big Jimmy was a cool dude, black dude. Big Jimmy, I wouldn't say he's about, let's say about 30. He was also about 5'11". They were like identical in height. Now, come on, Kens. Everybody can't be 5'11". Hey, don't shoot the messenger, okay? He was 5'11". Black dude, light-skinned dude, about my complexion. I'm going to say Big Jimmy was actually a little older than 30 now that I really, really thought about it, because he was married. Big Jimmy might have been 40, so I stand to correct myself. I apologize. Had a little short, curly hair. Stayed in the law books. He knew everything about law. Because when you go to prison, you can become a legal aid. Once you become a legal aid, you get certified. It's like 6 to 8 week course. So you represent the inmates when they're charged with different write-ups or different infractions, if you will. And you take that legal aid in front of the infraction committee, a court call is what they call it in Kentucky, to represent you. Now imagine that an inmate representing an inmate. But you got some bad legal aids that really, really know their law, man. And the ones that are like that, they get them off the yard. Because now they're not allowed to do the things that they have been doing because they have somebody that's going to step in and say, no, you can't do that. The law is the law. He goes in the office one day and he's trying to get the Uno cards. We play Uno all the time. Hey, man, go get the cards. Go get the Uno cards. Well, when you go into the office, you got to give your ID. Gives you whatever chessboard, Uno cards, what have you. Then you come back out. But we noticed it was taking a long time. Now, you can look up and see. You're not meddling. But you can just see. Everything is see-through. You see him in there, kind of going back and forth with this weirdo officer, man. Comes back out, he has the cards. Man, dude gave me a hard time, man. I was just trying to get the cards or whatever. Dude's giving me a hard time or whatever. Damn, bro, you was in there for like 10 minutes. We thought they was gonna lock you up. Nah, man, it wasn't nothing like that, man. But dude is, so we playing the cards or whatever. A few hours later, they come through the count. Now, they know damn well nobody's left the dorm because the dorms are locked, but they still have to do their routine counts every, few hours. Come through, got to hold your ID up like this, under your chin or to the side or what have you. They look at your ID, look down at their little clipboard, make sure that it's the person that's on the ID and name and everything, and they go to the next person. Well, Mr. Jimmy. You need to hold your ID up. Man, my ID's right here. What are you talking about? Hold your ID up. Here, man. He holds it. Is this high enough for you? Now, they're the same height. They both 5'11". So Officer Wilder is telling him to hold his ID higher, but it's already at where it's supposed to be. Here, man, is this high? He goes through, finishes counting, finishes the other units, other dorms. He goes into the office. You hear his name called over the intercom. Officer Jimmy, not Officer Jimmy, but Inmate Jimmy, come to the officer station. He comes to the officer station. They tell him to go and get the cards. Where's the cards at? We'll get the cards for what? We're still playing the cards. Go get the cards. Goes back, gets the Uno cards. Hey, y'all, I need the Uno cards, man. The dude, what do you need the Uno cards for? We in there doing, we can't watch TV, nothing. We bored. We playing Uno, having fun. Ain't no problems whatsoever. Goes and gets the Uno cards, takes them back. He stays in there another 5 minutes. He comes back. Damn, bro, what'd he take the Uno cards for? Man, I don't know. He said that there's a limit as far as how long you can have the cards. Other people have to have an opportunity to have the Uno cards, to have the chessboard, to have the Scrabble board, to have the checkerboard, to have... No problem. No issue. Probably about 30 minutes later, they call him back into the office. Jimmy goes back to the office. We notice once again he's been in there for a while. I look up and I see that it's getting hostile. It's getting hectic. You could tell that there's obviously a discrepancy. It's obviously something that's going on in this office. They're arguing. The other officer, because there's one actual officer. See, this officer weirdo, he's Warden weirdo, rather. I keep calling him officer. He's in the guards tower by himself. The other officer is like making her rounds or whatever. Next thing I know, I see the officer walking up towards the, the guards tower. And the guards tower is like 2 stories high. And the officer 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 station, the officer's tower, guard's tower, whatever you want to call it. Jimmy wasn't taking it no more. He's beating the brakes off, dude. Warden Weirdo, he's beating the brakes. I'm talking because he was already sitting down. Big Jimmy was standing up. He's beating. I'm talking about beating him, just hitting him and grabbing his hair and his head and banging it into the desk. I mean, he's beating him. The officer, she sees it. She immediately runs in as though she was gonna do something. She's about 5'2". She has her can of bird spray in her hand and she's ready to spray, but she's nervous and she's shaking. He knocks it out of her hand. So for fear that something was gonna be done to her, she runs out of the office. Protocol, she probably should have just called backup security right when she seen it happening. But she, officers, police, people always want to be the heroes. When you go against total protocol, what we're trained to do, you want to be the hero. He's beating the absolute brakes off his warden, man. Beating the brakes off of him, man. Finally, security comes. Then you had a situation where one of the inmates is always gonna be an inmate that seizes the opportunity. Actually, it was two inmates. They're running in because the door didn't shut all the way when she ran out. They're running in trying to pull him off of the warden, the assistant warden. He done swung on one of the inmates, pretty much knocked him out. So once the other inmate seen that, hold on, bro, I'm just trying to stop you. I don't want you doing anything crazy. I don't want you, man, get out of here. At this point, it was already up. And once it's up, sometimes it's stuck. What are you all going to do at this point? He had already laid hands on him. Then they're going to say he assaulted the other officer because he knocked the bird spray out of her hand. He's beating him, and everybody's watching. They banging on the glass, and they cheering, yeah, get him, get that son of a bitch, get that MF, get him. Nobody liked this warden weirdo. Nobody liked him. He's beating him. I'm talking about boom, 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 boom. He's stomping him. All the warden can do is just cover up, man. So he's not really just getting beat as though it appears because he's covering up, but he's getting kicked, he's getting spit on, he's getting inmates just pounding him. The people come in, they come in deep. The E squad come in, man. At first it's like 6 or 7 of them. They come in, get him up off of him. Then another 6 or 7 come in and they rough him up, cuff him, and beat him up or whatever, spray him or whatever. Now they real tough because there's 12 of them. There's 12 of them on one, and he's cuffed. Obviously, he goes to the hole. Investigation was launched. He's sent straight to prison the next day. Straight to prison. Now, we're already in prison, but he's sent straight to a higher level prison, straight to the hole. There's a report that's launched, an investigation that's launched. Jimmy gives his account of the situation. It's totally different. Totally different. According to Jimmy, Warden Weirdo was pursuing a relationship with him. They had been intimate. They had been not necessarily intimate, but they had had intimate conversation for 6 or 7 months straight. So where the discrepancy came in was that Jimmy had a wife. The Warden Weirdo knew about this wife. Warden Weirdo had a wife, been married 30-something years. But where the major problem was that Big Jimmy ended up having another individual coming to visit him other than his wife. And Warden Weirdo was not feeling that whatsoever. How you gonna be having another woman come see you? I know about your wife, I'm married, but now you got other women coming to see you. Warden Weirdo was trying to intimidate and use his money, because he was discreetly putting money on Jimmy's books, on his phone, taking care of him. Warden Weirdo worked in the administrative building. So Jimmy could come up to the office and they would have like special projects, cleaning the officers' cars, or, the state trucks. So I ain't never do none of that shit. I was like, I ain't doing this, boo. I ain't cleaning your car. What I look like? Yes, sir. No, sir, Mrs. I ain't doing none of that. It was just a way that he could be close to Big Jimmy. He might come and work in the cafeteria a few days a week. Now, the cafeteria was separate. Like, the staff had their own cafeteria. But, once again, inmates cooked the food. The benefit is inmates was making $350, $400 a month working in the cafeteria, the staff cafeteria. Plus, they can eat all day, whatever they want, and take food home. So, it was definitely benefits working in the administration building. But especially that cafeteria. They were doing little things, allegedly. Warden Weirdo was bringing him, different things in, food-wise or what have you. And all of these things was put in the report. Ended up filing a lawsuit. He got in touch with his family. Because, he was in the hole for so long, they wouldn't let him use the phone. They wouldn't let him write letters, visits, or what have you. But at some point, that has to end. These people had a little money, not a lot of money, but they had a little money, enough to go get an attorney, tell them what happened. They filed a suit against the penitentiary, against this warden, against everybody. Sodomy, intimidation, just everything that you can possibly imagine. He files a suit. From the investigation, they didn't even fire this dude, man. They didn't even fire Warden Weirdo, man. He stepped down. So essentially they were going to fire him, but he stepped down. He had already been there over 30 years, so I'm assuming he got his pension. I don't know all of those, intricacies and, those details, what have you. But he ended up settling for like $80,000. $80,000, and they ended up letting him out a little bit early. See, that's the problem. You was going to get out anyway. You didn't have a life sentence. So even if you had to do another year and a half, 2 years, why would you settle for $80,000? A non-disclosure act where you can't discuss the situation and you can't write a book or you can't go on TV. Why would you do the $80,000? And by the time you're a lawyer, I believe $80,000 was his cut. So it was a little bit more than 80, but that's what he ended up with. And I really think about it, it's like booty bandits are not only inmates. That's the second occurrence, the second situation in which I've seen a booty bandit be a staff, an officer. You had one that was a sergeant, now you got one that was a warden. I said, and a warden. You got one that's an assistant warden, an assistant to the assistant warden. That ended up being a booty bandit that was bribing this inmate. And that was, and I understand. Jimmy was looking at it like, shoot, man, I'm getting money out of it. He claims that they never did anything intimate. They never did it. It was all just conversation, freaky talk, and, I know P. Diddy had the freak off, so what have you. And ain't nothing wrong with a freak off if everybody's consenting to it. So they would have freak off, freaky conversations. But Big Jimmy claimed that they never were intimate. However, it was going to get to that point because there was so many threats made. If you don't give me this, if you don't let me do this to you, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that you don't go home. I'm going to make sure that you spend another 5 years in there. You got a lot of time hanging over your head. I'm going to make sure that you go to the worst facility. So, Weirdo Warden, essentially, when you really think about it, alleged he was blackmailing him. Makes him a booty bandit, man. See, all booty bandits are not inmates. Everybody thinks that I've talked about it in my prior videos, that you just go up to a person and you knock them out, and you take that sword of justice and you threaten them with it. Nah, man, sometimes, man, you it's smoother than that, from what I understand. I ain't never been no booty bandit. But from what I understand, and from what Felice Johnson talks about, you finesse a person. And it's a shame because this individual wasn't even fired. He was allowed to resign, to where I presume he got his pension. He was never prosecuted. I guess it was never really any real proof. But they take the words of certain people when they want to take the words of certain people. You don't have to have proof. But sometimes they want you to have proof, depending on who said it and who did it, allegedly. Booty bandits everywhere. They're not just in prison, but they definitely exist in prison. And again, it's not always the inmates. Sometimes it's the staff that wants to get you in that compromising position. No pun intended. Real Kids TV. Hopefully you liked the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, you're amongst the first to receive. That's how I couldn't hear it, but I can see it and I can imagine that when Big Jimmy was hitting Weirdo Warden, I'm talking about he was tearing him up, man. He was trying to duck and hide, and nah, you was tough. You always come through, and you tough, and you hold your ID up. You got a problem, you Dr. Phil talking ass MF. You didn't look so tough that day. And I hope that 80,000 really took you a long way. Well, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, people that I've seen come up on a significant amount of money like that, they probably broke within a few months. Hopefully it's not the case. I haven't seen him, but that's typically the case. Real Kids TV, man.